Welcome to Your Town. I'm Chef Wendy Brodie, Art of Food. I'm your culinary host, and my guest today is Colleen Manni from Bistro Moulin. She's the wine director. She's got all kinds of designations with wine that you've been educating yourself for, and I also want to talk about you being a judge at the Big Sur Foragers Festival, so we'll cover a couple of grounds. But tell me how you got started in this and what inspired you, how, and all the places that you visited getting your wine education. So wherever you want to begin.
Wherever I would like to begin. Well, I'll just jump in. I'm not sure.
Fast forward from being born.
Yes, yes. Well, in 2007, Chef Didier Duterte, who had been executive chef of Casanova for 25 years, asked me, "You want to open a restaurant together? Just a small place, French style." And I was totally thrilled at the prospect. I had been working in restaurants for several years and in front of the house, and I just said yes.
We're so glad you did. It's such a wonderful addition to the peninsula.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Although I had experience running dining rooms, I didn't really have specific wine experience. And so we kind of joined forces, and he was very educated, palate and such, and so I kind of, with him, we created the wine list and started buying the wine together, and I quickly found that I had an aptitude for it and was very passionate about it. And working in the dining room at night, with guests.
I know being a guest, and you want some guidance often, and then when you get in a conversation about guests wanting to learn something, and you've tasted something.
Right, right. So as I learned, I was able to share my experience and my discoveries with wine with the guests, and that was very inspiring and very validating to have people come back and say, "We love your wine choices. We love, what do you have for us this time? We love the wine you selected for us last time. We're back. What do you have for us now?" And that was very inspiring and kept the ball rolling for me. After a few years of that, I just started to feel like I needed a credential or something to sort of prove to myself that I was qualified, and I wanted to go deeper into it and study, and that's when I made the choice I chose the Court of Master Sommeliers and their program, and went through that. I went through a very intensive immersion course where I took off work for 3 months and just studied in that course. It was about 7 hours a day of study in classroom and blind tasting exercises with master sommeliers, and probably 4 to 5 hours at night of personal study and tasting practice with my colleagues in the program. And when the big test day came, I was terrified, of course, and I passed. And it was one of the best days of my life, one of the biggest reliefs I ever felt.
Now I have to ask you, I'm sure seen the movie Somm, and probably some too,
Yes.
and I was nervous just watching the movie,
Yes.
knowing, so I can only imagine. Now, where did you do this? Where?
I chose to go to the Culinary Academy in Campbell, and which isn't too far away.
No, close.
And that was a wonderful program for me. Now, you don't have to go take a class like that in order to take the test. You can self-study, but I chose to do that, take that route, and that really worked for me. And after that, I I kind of got addicted to the study. And it was while I was in that program, the movie Somm came out, and I was actually at the world premiere in Napa. A classmate and I, we drove up there, and we were there and experienced it and got to go to the after party, and that was very inspiring as well, to be close to that. It was a very exciting time, and the word Somm was just blowing up. It was, and so being part of that has been really fun. But like I said, after I got that credential, I decided to continue, and I shifted gears a little bit and just focused on French wine, which is my wheelhouse, in the restaurant. That's what I do there mostly. And so I went to the San Francisco Wine School, which is wonderful, and did a study there for the French Wine Scholar program. And that was a little easier because it was once a week, and I could drive up and take a class and self-study in between. And there again, when test day came, I didn't think I was going to pass. But I did, with high honors. Blew myself away. Like, oh wow, got that under my belt. And then I said, okay, I'm going to relax now. I'm not going to put myself under those pressures. And did more travel and just visiting vineyards and going to France. I did a week in Bordeaux, a wine study in Bordeaux. I did a week in Burgundy, a week in Rhone. In Alsace. I spent a month in Alsace. And I just spent quite a bit of time in Croatia, in northern Croatia, learning about their wines. And that really, it's absolutely a blessing. A blessing. It's really, really been very fulfilling on many levels in my life.
Do you have a preference of wines that you enjoy, or do you like it all for their complexity and uniqueness to the region? Or
well, I find that I do tend to gravitate to drinking more white wine than red.
Interesting.
And for me, I drink red more with food. But I do like all sorts of wines. I tend to like old world wine. And I do have a taste for the French, all things French, of course. I love wines from Piedmont, the Nebbiolo grape from Italy are one of my favorite regions. I absolutely adore Champagne, of course.
Well, we were lucky to get you back here.
Yes, I did. I kind of wanted to just run away and stay away.
Oh,
but no, so I'm glad to be back. I'm feeling grounded, and I have kind of shifted my job description. So now I've pared down my responsibilities in the dining room, my managerial role. I just like working in the dining room in the evening and focusing on the wine list and more just on the wines.
Well, you're so personable, and for the groups that I've been with that we've attended your functions, the wine pairings with the foods have been just wonderful. And of course, DDA's food is just so, you're both such dedicated people to your professions.
Well, thank you.
And it feels like being in a home away from home. It's comfortable. You make people feel so at ease. And
well, thank you. That is how it feels to me. It's not a stuffy restaurant. It's very casual. And as a sommelier, I'm just sharing what I love. I'm not trying to guide people to buy a certain wine or have my way. It's really my goal to hit your bullseye as the guest. And that's kind of where training and experience comes in, is being able to really listen to what the guest is looking for and then hit their bullseye. That's always the goal.
Well, the more wine people I've met over the years, they say exactly in different words, but I like your phrase there with the bullet. But like, there is no mistake per se. I was doing a cooking class, and the guests were bringing all this red wine, but they wanted a fish class. And I said, from what I've learned, there are no mistakes. It's what you like. It's what you want to drink.
Exactly, exactly.
we can come up with the sauce that'll pair well with wine.
Yes, and it's very important that people like the wine. People ask, well, what's the pairing? What should I drink with this? Or what shouldn't I drink? And I said, well, I really want you to have a wine that you enjoy, not just specifically what pairs with something. And so I just think people can relax a little bit and not feel like they have to drink red with meat or have to drink white with fish. It's really not the case.
Those sort of were the old, traditional standards that we learned in cooking school and wine. And I was so glad when I did a course at Behringer. It was food related, but being at the winery, the wine director said, well, what do you like to drink?
Right.
We'll taste all these different things. And then the component tasting one. Can you talk about some of those experiences for people learning about wine? I didn't even know what that was many years ago, that you can do a component tasting. And
well, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, but what I would say is when you're pairing food with wine, there's kind of two schools of thought. There are different ways to go. One is you can match. You can find something like something in the dish and then matching flavors. So if you have something really buttery in the dish, like escargot that's in a butter sauce, you can match that with a buttery wine. You see, so you're finding something in the wine and the food that's common. There's also the other school of thought is to do a contrasting pairing. So you're really bringing out something out of both of them, and that can be very exciting in a pairing well. So there's different ways to pair.
Really
but yes, understanding components in the food and kind of the components in the wine, that is the place to start with pairing.
I know when I studied with Madeline Keeman up in Napa, she had a very interesting way for us to look at matching, like for a chef when they're cooking a dish and like yourself, you had to pair wine. We were taught that on the chef's side is taste the wine first if you can get a sample of it, then taste your sauce or whatever and then taste the wine again. And that way, from the bottle is finite. I mean, you may let it breathe a little longer or less or whatever, but you're pretty much not going to change what's in the bottle.
Right.
So the food is the changeable denominator. So we would either add acids or bases, and when I say acids, lemons, vinegars, tomato, whatever is in the acid category. And then with the bases, dairies, so I never knew that was an option, and so that helped me a lot appreciate, because I feel the winemaker has created the finite thing, and I want to make sure I show off their wine well.
Right, right. And in a good pairing, the two sums even become greater than their sum of parts, the sum of their parts. We have a great wine and you have a really great dish, and in a good pairing, both are elevated. And that, to me, is the goal. One doesn't overpower the other.
Now, some of the traditional ones we learned were like foie gras and sauterne. But what are some other ones that you think are just knockout combinations?
Well, classic pairing is let's say, lamb and Syrah. A nice meaty steak with a Cabernet. You know, you've got that meat with deep flavors, and you need a wine that has the kind of the same weight. That's another thing in pairing. You kind of match the weight and depth of food with the weight and depth of a wine. That's another thing to think about.
That's wonderful. In reading over some of the things you were talking about, you were saying how important spitting is in the educational process.
Right.
So do tell, for when a lot of us go off to a wine tasting and we haven't ordered Uber rather, but explain the more about the spitting.
Okay. Well, that for me in sommelier school, it is mandatory. You don't drink. You must spit. And conditioning yourself to do that, you quickly learn how much more there is to learn after that wine is gone. You don't have to drink everything. Especially if you want to evaluate a wine and you want to really pay attention to it, not having all the alcohol ingested does help you keep more clarity, of course, but it really does help your palate and help you connect what's in the glass, what are you really tasting. And when I wrote that for you, I was thinking when you go to tasting rooms and people, you're tasting lots and lots of wine, it's not rude to pour it out or spit.
No.
Not at all. And like I said, and you actually do learn more by spitting. So that's one.
So I'll sort of weave this back around to the Foragers Festival, where you had to be a judge there and experience all the wines. And what was that like for you, and what did you come away with?
It's really fun. It's really fun. It's a lot of wines. That was maybe 150 wines.
That many?
That was a lot of wine to taste in just a few hours. And fortunately, I do that for work. When we go to big tastings, I will routinely taste 100 wines or more in an afternoon. And also being in the mindset, you're judging quality. You're evaluating a wine. I'm not thinking about, do I like this? Do I not like this? I'm thinking, I'm just getting to know what's in the glass and judging quality. So it's kind of hard, because in the end I have to give an opinion of who I vote for the winner, and a lot of these people are friends and colleagues and
I know.
people whose wine I buy, and it's not a matter of favoritism in any way. I just have to go down the line and do my thing.
Well, you did a beautiful, beautiful job. And anyway, thank you so much, and I hope so many people get to come more to you and say, pick me out a wine.
Oh, well, it's a joy for me to be here and a joy for me to do my job. So thank you for having me, Wendy.
Thank you.